They told us to visualize. They told us to believe. They told us that if we vibrated higher, the universe would bend to our will. And yet, here we are, drowning in the same struggles, clawing at a future that remains just out of reach. Because they didn't tell us the whole truth. They didn't tell us that the law of attraction doesn't work without sacrifice. That the universe doesn't reward dreamers, it devours them. That most who sit and manifest will die in the same place they started, their visions left to rot inside their skulls. The hidden truth? The law of attraction was never meant to be a passive act. It's not about alignment in the way they sell it to you. It's about warfare. The moment you set a vision, you have declared war on your current reality. Every weakness in you will fight to survive. Every bad habit will sink its claws into your soul and refuse to let go. Every failure will feel personal, because it is. The universe doesn't grant wishes, it tests resolve. So, what are you willing to destroy? Will you sacrifice the comfort that's been killing you? Will you burn the bridges leading back to mediocrity? Will you shatter the old version of yourself and crawl through the wreckage, knowing there's no turning back? Because this is what the gurus didn't tell you. Your vision won't be built on hope. It will be built on blood and discipline. If you are not obsessed with the vision, if you do not breathe it, live it, suffer for it, then you are already dead weight to the universe. It doesn't reward good vibes. It rewards those who refuse to kneel. So the question is not whether the law of attraction works. The question is, are you willing to survive the price it demands? Lesson 1. The death of the old you. They told us to think positively, to visualize our success, to feel the joy as if it's already ours. But what they didn't tell us is this. The moment you set a vision, the current version of you becomes obsolete. You have lived in your current reality for a reason. Every thought, every habit, every excuse has built the life you're in right now. So if you dare to demand more, if you dare to reach for something greater, understand that the version of you that exists today cannot come along for the journey. This is the part they didn't warn you about. The pain, the grief, the suffering of watching your old self die. You don't just align with success, you fight for it. The universe will rip you apart, piece by piece, and test whether you are willing to let go of the weaknesses that have kept you small. And that won't happen in some meditative bliss. It will happen in moments of agony. It will happen when you have to cut ties with people who only know your past. It will happen when your own mind revolts against you, screaming that you are nothing but a fraud. It will happen when you stand at the edge of change and realize there is no way back. Are you ready for that? Because this is where most people fail. Not because they didn't manifest hard enough, but because they weren't willing to sacrifice who they are for who they could become. Your first assignment: burn the bridges. If you are serious about changing your reality, then start by destroying every escape route back to the old you. Cut the habits that keep you weak. Cut the distractions that drain your mind. Cut the people who enable your excuses. Write it down. Make it real. What must die for your vision to live? Because if you refuse to let go, you will never be free. Lesson 2. The war against comfort. They told us to believe in abundance, to expect things to come easily, as if success is a natural consequence of positive thinking. But here's what they didn't tell us. Comfort is the enemy of transformation. You have been conditioned to seek comfort, to avoid discomfort, to protect yourself from struggle, to escape anything that makes you feel like you're losing control. And that is exactly why most people fail. They cannot endure the discomfort that separates who they are from who they could become. They quit when it gets hard. They retreat when reality doesn't align fast enough. They go back to what's easy because they mistake struggle for failure. But what if struggle is proof that you're finally moving forward? The law of attraction demands suffering. No one wants to hear this. They want the shortcut, the hack, the manifestation trick that lets them skip the pain. But there is no way around this. You will suffer. The suffering of waking up earlier when your body begs you to sleep. The suffering of pushing forward when your mind screams for relief. The suffering of holding discipline when no one is watching, when no reward is in sight, when doubt eats away at your soul. And most will not survive this stage. Not because they lack intelligence, not because they lack talent, but because they lack the will to endure. Your second assignment: kill the need for comfort. If you want your vision badly enough, you must train yourself to crave discomfort. Wake up before you're ready. Work when you don't feel inspired. Reject distractions, even when it feels like torture. The universe doesn't give power to those who seek ease. It grants it to those who prove they can carry the weight of their vision without breaking. So ask yourself, what comfort must you destroy today? Because the second you stop craving comfort, you start becoming unstoppable. Lesson 3. The illusion of time. They told us to trust the process, to believe that what we seek is already on its way. But here's what they didn't tell us. Time is not your ally. Time is your executioner. Every second that passes is a second you will never get back. And yet most people act like they have all the time in the world. They delay. They wait. They hesitate. They tell themselves they're not ready. They convince themselves they need more research, more signs, more perfect conditions. And that hesitation is how dreams rot. Because time doesn't slow down for anyone. It doesn't pause for your fears. It doesn't care about your self-doubt. Every moment you spend in hesitation is another moment your vision dies in the hands of someone bolder than you. The law of attraction punishes hesitation. The world is filled with people who had a great idea, who almost took action, who could have been great, but never pulled the trigger. They waited for the stars to align, for the fear to subside, for some cosmic sign to tell them it was the right time. But the truth, there is no right time. There is only now, and the consequences of waiting. Hesitation is nothing but slow suicide, and the more you hesitate, the more your dream starts to belong to someone else. Your third assignment: destroy indecision. Stop waiting for motivation. Stop planning like you have forever. Stop negotiating with fear. Take the first step today. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be real. Because the clock isn't ticking for you. It's ticking against you. So tell me, what action will you take before the day ends? Or will you let another day slip into the graveyard of wasted time? Lesson 4. The price of isolation. They told us to surround ourselves with positivity, to only engage with high vibrational people, to avoid negativity, to protect our energy. But they didn't tell us what happens when we outgrow everyone around us. Because when you commit to your vision, you will be alone. Not in the physical sense. Not because you pushed people away, but because most people will not understand you anymore. They will mock your discipline. They will resent your ambition. They will tell you to relax while you are busy sharpening your edge. Not because they hate you, but because your growth is a mirror that reflects their stagnation. And most people cannot handle that. The law of attraction destroys weak bonds. They tell you to attract success, but they don't warn you about what you'll have to lose in the process. Because if you keep growing, if you keep evolving, you will reach a point where the people you once called friends become nothing but echoes of your past. You will look around and realize no one is coming with you. And that's when the real test begins. Will you keep climbing alone? Or will you slow down just to avoid losing people who have already lost themselves. This is why most people fail. They fear loneliness more than they fear regret. They would rather belong to the mediocre than walk alone toward greatness. But you were not meant for the comfort of the crowd. You were meant to walk where most fear to tread. Your fourth assignment: cut the dead weight. Identify the people who hold you back. Recognize the ones who undermine your vision. Distance yourself from those who encourage your old habits. This path is brutal. It will strip you down to your rawest self. But in the silence, in the solitude, you will meet the strongest version of yourself. So now ask yourself, who or what must be left behind? Because if you are unwilling to walk alone, you are not ready to walk at all. Lesson 5. Pain is the currency of transformation. They told us to stay positive, to think good thoughts, to trust that everything will work out, to find the flow. But they didn't tell us about the price. Because nothing worth having comes without suffering. And every level of success demands a payment in pain. They sold us the lie of effortless manifestation. They made it seem like we could align with abundance without enduring the grind, the sacrifice, the agony of ripping ourselves away from the life we've outgrown. But the truth? Pain is not the enemy. It is the cost. The law of attraction demands blood. You don't just step into a better life. You drag yourself there. You crawl through the failures. You bleed through the discipline. You break apart in the process of becoming something stronger. And the reason most people stay exactly where they are? They refuse to pay the price. They avoid pain like a plague. They look for shortcuts, hacks, and easy ways to get what they want. But shortcuts lead nowhere, except back to the same mediocrity they were trying to escape. You cannot evolve without suffering, because growth means destruction. The destruction of the weak version of yourself. The destruction of your excuses, your doubts, your old identity. The universe doesn't ask if you're ready. It forces you to prove it. Your fifth assignment: learn to love pain. Find what you're avoiding and face it. Embrace the discomfort of pushing through resistance. Let go of the illusion that success is supposed to be easy. Every moment of suffering is a down payment on the life you want. So now ask yourself, are you willing to pay the price? Or will you remain shackled to a reality you refuse to suffer to escape? To our returning GrimFace warriors, you already know what this is. You've been through the fire, you've felt the weight of transformation, and yet, here you stand, sharper, stronger, more relentless than before. We see you, we respect you, and we're just getting started. To those who are new here, welcome to the fastest growing movement of those who refuse to kneel. If you've made it this far, you already know this isn't for the weak. This isn't for the ones looking for shortcuts, handouts, or permission. This is for those who are ready to claim what is rightfully theirs. We've already helped thousands break free from the chains that held them down, mentally, financially, physically. This is about taking back control, power, and purpose. But this movement goes beyond YouTube. If you want to stay connected, if you want more tools to sharpen your edge and take your life back, go to grimfaceofficial.com. That's where the real ones stay in touch. Beyond the algorithm, beyond the noise, beyond the distractions. The path is brutal. The price is high. But if you have the will to endure, the fire to rise, and the hunger to take what's yours, welcome to GrimFace. Now go. Do the work.